There are stories in bodybuilding that go way beyond the stage, the trophies, and the posing routines. Stories about falling, pain, and redemption. About the sheer human power to rise again when everything seems lost. And few stories capture that spirit better than the one of Casey Viator, the prodigy kid who became a legend. Today, you're going to hear the full story of Casey Viator, from his childhood in Louisiana to the legendary Colorado experiment, through his victories, struggles, and the legacy he left behind. A journey of discipline, intensity, and belief in one's own potential. So go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and join us as we relive the incredible journey of the man who pushed the limits of the human body and forever changed bodybuilding history. On a regular day, September 4th, 1951, in Lafayette, Louisiana, Casey Viator was born, in a small, unassuming place that would end up producing one of the greatest talents the sport had ever seen. From a young age, Casey was different. While most kids were busy playing ball, he stood out for his strength and agility, with a physique that looked way ahead of his age. In school, he dove into sports like track and baseball, and that's when something remarkable happened. His muscles started growing fast, really fast, even without any serious training. His body just responded naturally, like it was built for power. That discovery sparked a question inside him. How far could he go if he actually committed to training for real? The encouragement came from home. His uncle, a big guy with massive arms and an impressive build, became Casey's first inspiration. He used to work out with homemade weights, and one day, he invited young Casey to join him. It was love at first lift. At just 13 years old, Casey turned his parents' garage into a small gym, training with makeshift dumbbells made of concrete and steel bars he built himself. Without access to modern gyms or professional coaches, he learned by watching, experimenting, and failing, and still made incredible progress. Each workout visibly transformed him. What started as a fun challenge quickly became a passion. Determined to take things further, Casey decided to compete. At just 16, he stepped on stage for the first time at Mr. Louisiana, a local contest full of older, more experienced athletes. Nobody expected the skinny teenager to stand out, but to everyone's surprise, he took third place, earning praise for his symmetry and definition. After that promising debut, Casey threw himself completely into the world of bodybuilding. He knew he had something special, and he was determined to prove it on stage. By the late 1960s, while most guys his age were just figuring out their careers, Casey was already turning heads at regional shows with muscle size and conditioning that seemed unreal for a teenager. In 1968, at only 17, Casey won his first major title, Mr. Louisiana. That victory confirmed what many had started to suspect. This small-town kid had both the genetics and the drive to become something extraordinary. The following year, he took things to the next level, competing at Team Mr. America, one of the toughest contests of the time. He placed 6th overall but dominated the special awards, winning best arms, chest, abs, legs, and overall muscularity. Everyone knew a new star was rising. Each competition became another step up the ladder. Casey studied human anatomy with obsession, refined his workouts, and learned to control every pose on stage like a performer. Then came 1970, what many call his golden year. At just 19, he racked up an insane streak of titles: Team Mr. America, Mr. USA, and the coveted Most Muscular award in every category. Few athletes had ever improved so dramatically in such a short time. But Casey's secret wasn't just genetics, it was discipline. He trained with almost superhuman intensity, spending hours in the gym and tracking every meal with surgical precision. Month after month, his physique became denser, more balanced, more mature. Even the judges couldn't believe the transformation. While other competitors relied on experience, Casey made up for it with pure, relentless dedication. And his stats were jaw-dropping. Standing 5 feet 8 inches, 1.73 meters, tall and weighing between 205 and 225 pounds, 93 to 102 kilograms. He had 22-inch arms, a 58-inch chest, and a 31-inch waist, a combination of power and proportion rarely seen. It was the perfect balance between mass and aesthetics, a body that looked hand-sculpted. His fame began to grow fast, and Casey Viator was no longer just a rising star. He was becoming one of the biggest promises in American bodybuilding. It was during the 1970 Mr. America that Casey Viator's destiny took a dramatic turn. Among the judges and spectators that day was a man carefully studying every competitor, Arthur Jones, the inventor of the revolutionary Nautilus machines and the creator of the hit, high-intensity training method. The moment Jones saw Casey on stage, he recognized something rare, not just raw physical potential, but a kind of brute strength and endurance that seemed limitless. Shortly after the contest, Jones approached the young athlete. Instead of praising Casey's long and exhausting workouts, he went straight to the point, telling him he was training too much and growing too little. That sounded strange to Casey, who, like most bodybuilders, believed in the old more is better mentality. But Jones explained, the secret wasn't in doing more, it was in training harder. That conversation would mark the beginning of one of the most legendary partnerships in bodybuilding history. Arthur Jones invited Casey to train under his supervision at the Nautilus headquarters in DeLand, Florida. There, Casey would become the perfect test subject for Jones's new machines and the HIT system. His training was completely transformed, just 1 to 3 sets per exercise, each taken to absolute failure, with slow, controlled reps and 0 rest between movements. The idea was simple, but brutal. At first, Casey thought it was impossible to grow with so little volume. But within weeks, something amazing started happening. His muscles got thicker, fuller, and his strength skyrocketed. The combination of intensity and precision seemed to wake up his body in a way he had never experienced before. The year 1971 would become the peak of Casey Viator's career. At only 19 years old, he stepped onto the Mr. America stage and made history. With every pose, the crowd gasped, not just because of his size, but for his symmetry, proportion, and muscle maturity, which were unheard of for someone so young. When the results were announced, Casey didn't just win. He became the youngest Mr. America champion ever, a record that still stands to this day. And that wasn't all. In the same year, Casey also captured the Junior Mr. America and Mr. USA titles, dominating every contest with unbelievable confidence. In all of them, he took home the most muscular trophy, the award reserved for the most powerful and impressive physique of the night. His name spread like wildfire, and bodybuilding magazines started calling him the new phenomenon of American bodybuilding. With fame came opportunity. Casey started posing for magazines, attending Nautilus events, and appearing alongside icons like Sergio Oliva and Arnold Schwarzenegger. Many believed he was the natural successor to those giants, the next face of bodybuilding worldwide. His youth, combined with his near-perfect physique, made him the symbol of a new generation. But behind the glory was a brutal routine. Training with Arthur Jones was short, intense, and punishing, a true test of both physical and mental endurance. Casey pushed monstrous weights, taking every set to complete exhaustion. After his golden year in 1971, it seemed like nothing could stop him. But as with many legends, fate had a cruel twist waiting. In early 1973, tragedy struck. During a workout at the gym, an accident with equipment caused Casey to lose part of his little finger, a seemingly minor injury that would change everything. He was rushed to the hospital, where doctors gave him a standard tetanus shot. But in his case, it triggered a severe allergic reaction that nearly killed him. For days, his body battled the toxin as he drifted in and out of consciousness. The man who once looked indestructible now found himself weak, vulnerable, and unsure if he'd ever recover. The physical recovery was slow, but the emotional toll was even heavier. Casey fell into a deep depression, lost weight, lost motivation, and completely stopped training. The mirror, once his greatest ally, became his enemy. He watched the physique he had built through years of relentless work fade away before his eyes. It felt as if everything he had achieved had been erased. For months, isolated and broken, Casey wondered if there was any way back. The prodigy of American bodybuilding was now just trying to find a reason to keep going. To most people, his career was over. But for Casey, that darkness would soon become the starting point for one of the most astonishing comebacks in the history of the sport. It was during this dark period that Arthur Jones reappeared. The mentor who had once shaped Casey's rise still believed the young man had something extraordinary left inside, not just as an athlete, but as living proof that the human body could fully regenerate. And from that belief came an idea that would forever etch Casey Viator's name in bodybuilding history. What was about to happen wouldn't just be a comeback. It would be an experiment that would defy every rule and expectation in the sport. In just a few months, Casey would go from rock bottom to becoming the central figure of one of the most controversial and talked about studies ever conducted, the legendary Colorado experiment. In May 1973, Casey Viator stepped back into the spotlight in a way no one could have imagined. Still physically weak and emotionally shaken, he accepted his mentor's invitation to take part in a bold experiment at Colorado State University. The goal was to prove to the world the effectiveness of HIIT, high-intensity training, and the new Nautilus machines that Jones had developed. What started as an attempt at recovery quickly became one of the most iconic episodes in bodybuilding history. During the Colorado experiment, Casey followed a training protocol completely outside the norm for that era. Only 12 workouts in 28 days, each lasting about 30 minutes. Every session consisted of slow, precise, brutally intense movements, with each exercise taken to absolute failure. It was the human body being pushed to its absolute limit, a test unlike anything seen before. The results shattered every expectation. In less than a month, Casey reportedly gained over 63 pounds, about 28.5 kilograms, of lean mass while losing roughly 18 pounds, 8 kilograms, of fat. The numbers were so astonishing that many simply refused to believe them. The before and after photos, published in Iron Man and Muscle Digest magazines, showed a transformation that looked almost unreal. The man who had lost everything now seemed reborn, stronger, fuller, and more defined than ever. Arthur Jones, ever the provocateur, presented the results as scientific proof that the human body could achieve extraordinary gains when trained correctly. To him, Casey's success was evidence that HIIT and Nautilus were the future of resistance training. The bodybuilding community exploded. Half saw it as a revolution, the other half as a hoax. Despite the controversy, the experiment left a massive impact. It sparked global debates about intensity versus volume, muscle recovery, and the true limits of human adaptation. Casey became the face of that revolution, a symbol of what seemed impossible suddenly made real. After 5 years away from competition, Casey decided it was time to step back on stage. His body had healed, and his fighting spirit had returned. In 1978, he made a stunning comeback, taking second place at the NABBA Mr. Universe. The bodybuilding world was thrilled. The prodigy who had nearly vanished was back, more mature and more powerful than ever. Over the next few years, Viator dove fully into the professional circuit. Between 1979 and 1982, he competed in events like the Canada Pro Cup, several IFBB Grand Prix contests, and the prestigious Mr. Olympia. The name Casey Viator was once again listed among the best in the world. His physique had evolved, thicker, denser, and seasoned, with a more refined stage presence that showed years of experience. The year 1980 marked the peak of his return. Casey won 3 major titles: the Pittsburgh Pro Invitational, the Grand Prix Louisiana, and the Grand Prix Pennsylvania. Fans and critics alike agreed. Viator had regained his legendary form, and his relentless discipline remained his greatest strength. Each victory carried the same message: the teenage prodigy had grown into a true veteran of bodybuilding. But the highlight of his professional career came in 1982, when he placed third at Mr. Olympia, behind only Chris Dickerson and Frank Zhang. It was his best performance as a pro, the ultimate proof that he belonged among the sport's elite. Many fans still believe Casey deserved the title that year, given his incredible conditioning, size, and commanding stage presence. Throughout his career, Casey Viator built an incredible resume of achievements. Among his biggest titles were Mr. Louisiana, 1968, Teen Mr. America, Mr. USA, and Most Muscular, 1970. The overall Mr. America title, 1971, NABBA Mr. Universe, 1978, several Grand Prix wins, the Pittsburgh Pro Invitational, 1980, and a Mr. Olympia podium finish, 1982. Years later, in 1995, he even stepped back on stage at the Masters Olympia, placing 12th, proving that his passion for bodybuilding never faded. If there was one thing that defined Casey more than his trophies, it was the way he trained. He believed the real secret to muscle growth wasn't spending endless hours in the gym. It was squeezing every ounce of effort out of each rep. His workouts were short, but absolutely brutal, a trial by fire for both body and mind. Viator trained with an intensity that even the most seasoned athletes found both inspiring and terrifying. Unlike most bodybuilders of his time, who split their workouts into daily muscle groups, Casey trained his entire body in a single session 3 times a week. Each exercise was performed with slow, controlled movements, all the way to total muscular failure, when the muscle simply couldn't move anymore. It was an approach that demanded total focus, zero distractions, no rest, and no room for weakness. And the numbers spoke for themselves. Viator performed squats with 505 pounds, 230 kilograms, for 20 reps, nearly unimaginable even by today's standards. On the bench press, he pushed 350 pounds, 160 kilograms, for 20 reps, and curled 200 pounds, 90 kilograms, with flawless form. It wasn't just raw power, it was mastery. The legendary Sergio Oliva, 3-time Mr. Olympia, once trained alongside Casey and couldn't finish the session. According to accounts, Sergio quit halfway through, completely exhausted. The story spread fast, solidifying Viator's reputation as one of the most intense men ever to set foot in a gym. For Casey, training was only half of the equation. The other half was the kitchen. He firmly believed that muscles weren't built in the gym alone, but at the table. His diet reflected the philosophy of bodybuilding's golden era: simple, nutritious, and laser-focused on results. No magic formulas, no shortcuts, just real food and relentless discipline. Viator followed a high-protein, high-calorie diet to match his intense training pace, averaging about 250 grams of protein and 4,000 to 5,000 calories a day, split into 6 to 8 meals. He ate every 2 to 3 hours, keeping a constant flow of nutrients to rebuild the muscle fibers he destroyed during training. His staples were classic bodybuilding foods: grilled chicken, lean red meat, eggs, whole milk, and egg protein powder. These provided the foundation to keep his body in an anabolic state around the clock. Casey often said, "Feeding your body right is like fueling a race car. The more powerful the engine, the more fuel it needs." A typical day showed his discipline clearly. He'd start with eggs and milk, then alternate meals of meat or chicken with milk and protein powder, repeating that pattern every couple of hours with almost military precision. Even without today's advanced nutritional science, Viator instinctively understood the importance of balance. He knew that training hard without eating right was wasted effort, and treated nutrition with the same respect he gave the weights. Behind the monumental strength and record-breaking lifts, Casey Viator was known for his calm personality and laser-focused mindset. Those who knew him described a disciplined, reserved, and determined man who never let fame get to his head. Despite his extraordinary genetics, he believed the real difference came down to hard work. After retiring from competition, Casey dedicated himself to sharing what he had learned over decades in the sport. He founded a training and nutrition consulting business in Florida, helping both everyday people and athletes achieve their goals. His experience made him a respected authority in the fitness world, and he also wrote for Muscle and Fitness and Flex magazines, where his insights and advice inspired an entire generation of young bodybuilders. Outside the competitive spotlight, Viator led a simple, grounded life. He was married to Debbie Viator, his loyal partner through every phase, from the glory days to the quiet years after retirement. The couple had no children but shared a strong, devoted relationship built on mutual respect and support. Debbie often traveled with Casey to competitions and helped him stay on track with his training and nutrition routines. Sadly, on September 4th, 2013, the very day he turned 62 years old, Casey Viator passed away from a heart attack. His death shocked the bodybuilding world. The man who had spent his life pushing the limits of the human body was gone, leaving behind an enormous legacy, and a story that still inspires athletes to this day. Though his career wasn't free from controversy, especially surrounding the Colorado experiment and debates about anabolic steroids, none of that erased what he accomplished. Casey will always be remembered as a pioneer of high-intensity training. a man who redefined what maximum effort really meant, and who proved that the human body is capable of truly extraordinary things. The story of Casey Viator is more than the story of a bodybuilder. It's a living portrait of resilience, discipline, and redemption. He showed the world that even after the deepest falls, it's possible to rise again and reclaim the impossible. His life proved that real strength isn't just in the muscles, but in the will to keep fighting when everything seems lost. Casey's teachings crossed generations and shaped the mindset of legendary athletes. Mike Mincer and Dorian Yates, two icons of the sport, carried forward the HIIT, high-intensity training philosophy he helped popularize. The intensity, precision, and laser focus that Viator applied to every workout became a lasting model of efficiency and dedication, one that's still followed by anyone chasing real results. His words still echo in gyms around the world. Success requires discipline and hard work. Nutrition is the foundation of a great physique. Don't compare yourself to others. Be your best version. These simple phrases sum up a philosophy that goes far beyond bodybuilding. They remind us that greatness is built day by day, through patience, sweat, and purpose. Casey Viator wasn't just a champion. He was a symbol of the mental and physical strength that defined the true golden era spirit. Today, his legacy continues to inspire everyone who walks into a gym looking for something greater, not just bigger muscles, but personal growth. He taught us that intensity without discipline means nothing, and that the mind is the most powerful muscle of all. Casey lives on in every athlete who believes the impossible can be achieved, as long as you have the courage to try. And if this story inspired you, don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell to keep following the greatest stories in bodybuilding. Drop a comment below. What lesson from Casey Viator's life inspired you the most? We'd love to hear it. And don't leave just yet. On the final screen, you'll find another incredible story from the golden era of bodybuilding you won't want to miss. Click it and keep this journey going with us right here on the channel.